So fighting in our game, we never want it to occur. We want to prevent it at all costs. But when it does occur, we need to know how to properly adjudicate plays. Let's go. Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the Basketball Rules Expert, the show where we take National Federation of High School Basketball rules, we lift them off the printed page, we breathe life into them, simplify, clarify, amplify, so that we can take them with us onto the basketball court where it is most important. Greetings again, everybody. My name is Greg Austin with abetterofficial.com. I've been a high school basketball official here in the San Francisco Bay Area for over a decade, and I consider myself to be a basketball rules expert. This show is all about helping you on a journey to becoming a basketball rules expert as well. Let me give a shout out to our fantastic show supporters: Dan Kelly, Tyler Matlock, Thomas Hennian, Mike Wong, and Phil Harmonic. Much appreciated and much love. You want to support the show? You can always head to abetterofficial.com/coffee. There'll be a link in the show notes below. All right, fantastic. Today we're looking at fight scenarios. Number one, in fight situations, we want to not let them happen. We want to do all the things. We want to recognize when they are about to occur and prevent them at all costs. It's probably the worst thing that could happen in our game is a fight scenario. Many times when a fight scenario occurs, we see the officials, we see the game, how things progressed, and we can do some forensic analysis and say, this is where it started, this is where it's escalated, and this is where it came to be, right? If the officials had recognized this here and been more proactive, or certainly recognized this here and been more proactive, then we could have prevented this. That being said, fights can occur out of the blue and be under no control of the officials. But obviously we want, as basketball officials, to prevent those situations at all costs. So today we are looking at play scenarios so that we can properly adjudicate fight scenarios. We don't want them to happen in our game, but we need to know the rules and how to properly adjudicate plays. So today we're going to look at some play scenarios. Rather than the officials did this or did that, be a little too complicated because we're going to have to sort through these situations. Let's recognize that from the outset. If we have a fight situation in our game, even the most simple, what are the attributes of the game at that point? We've got chaos, right? The energy level in the building has gone through the roof. Maybe just 2 players participated, and we can, get back to a semblance of normal, right? Quickly, but maybe all sorts of things have happened, and we're going to have to sort through things so that we can properly adjudicate the play and have that understanding of the rules and apply them. And if our game is going to move forward, so we can do the right things and get things right. Let's get started with our very first play scenario. A1 is fighting with B1 and B2. All 5 Team A bench reserves enter the floor but do not participate in the fight. Team B has no reserves, so no one from Team B enters the court. What is the proper ruling and administration in this situation? We've got on the court, we have players fighting. 1 player from Team A, 2 players from Team B. Team B or Team A has 5 reserves and they all enter the court, right? They're going to go help their teammate, right? That's their mindset. All 5 come. Team B has no reserves. Nobody enters the court. How are we going to adjudicate this play? We have 2 buckets. We have the players involved we have team members leaving the bench. How are we going to adjudicate this play? We have the players involved. We've got 2 and 1. We have an imbalance. Each player receives a flagrant technical foul for fighting. All are disqualified by rule. Since we have a discrepancy, Team A, which had only 1 player fighting, will receive 2 free throws as a result. That's one component of the play. The other, all 5 Team A bench reserves enter the floor but do not participate. What do we know about players leaving the bench area when a fight has occurred or may occur? We know that they each receive a disqualifying technical foul by rule. We also know that no matter the number, the head coach will receive 1 indirect technical foul for players under their control leaving the bench area when a fight may break out and not participating. Maximum of 1. Okay? So we have a situation where in bucket A, we have 2 free throws for Team A. And we know that since there was no team members from the opponent who left the bench area, since there's a differential, this team had more players than this team leave the bench area and not participate, that 2 free throws will be shot for that situation as well. So on the play, disqualifying fouls for fighting for each player, disqualifying technical fouls for leaving the bench when a fight may break out for each team member of Team A, 1 indirect technical foul for the head coach for Team A. How will we administer this situation? We will shoot the 2 free throws related to the players fighting. We will shoot 2 free throws related to the players leaving the bench area. And the resulting throw-in will go to Team B for a division line throw-in. Messy, going to take a lot of thinking, a lot of communicating, etc., but that's the proper adjudication on the play. All right, let's look at our next play scenario. Players A1 and B1 start fighting. Bench personnel A6, A7, A8 enter the court. Do not fight. Bench personnel B6, B7 come onto the court, but do not fight. What is the proper ruling and administration in this situation? Right? So simple and straightforward. 2 players on the court fighting, participating in fighting. Teammates come off. 3 teammates who are bench personnel come and enter the court from Team A, and 2 come off and enter for Team B. This is a good basic scenario for an understanding of the rules. What do? We have a bucket. We've got the 2 players participating on the court. What is the proper adjudication for them? Each of them receives a disqualifying foul for fighting. Each team receives a team foul towards bonus. When it comes to the players who left the bench and did not participate, we treat them as a group. But each player involved receives a disqualifying technical foul for leaving the bench when a fight is occurring or may occur. That's critical. They are disqualified by rule. Each of the fouls is assessed. Each foul is added to the team foul count. That's critical. So in this situation, Team A will end up with 4 team fouls more than they had when this started. Team B will enter up with 3 more than when it started. Each coach will receive an indirect technical foul for their players leaving the bench and not participating, but they will receive only 1. Whether 1 player leaves, 2 players, 3 substitutes, 4 substitutes, 5 substitutes, or 10 substitutes. A maximum of 1 indirect on the head coach if those players do not participate. Now, we have an imbalance. We don't have an equal number from the benches. So we are going to shoot free throws as a result. Since we have a discrepancy, 3 over 2, but if it was 5 over 1 or 4 over 3, it does not matter. A maximum of 2 free throws related to this bucket in the equation will be assessed. So how are we going to move forward on this play? Everybody, either the players who were fighting and the players who left the bench, or the team members who left the bench, are all disqualified by rule. There's no free throws related to the fighting activity on the court, but we will have 2 free throws related to bench personnel from Team A being more than the bench personnel from Team B who entered the court. So 2 free throws for Team B and a division line throw-in opposite the table to get the game back going. Hey, can I ask you a quick favor? If you're finding this video content valuable, take just a second. Hit the like button below. Really helps with the YouTube algorithm and helps to get the video in front of more basketball officials so that we can all get better together. Thank you. But we have to recognize that each player has committed a technical foul. Each of those technical fouls counts towards the team count for foul, but only in the administration of the penalty. Or do we have a sort of a deviation from our standard approach to technical fouls? So adding 1 to each for the team fouls is critical there. Okay, we are in the swing now. Let's look at our next play scenario. While the ball is live, players A1 and B1 commit fouls against each other at approximately the same time. A1 then punches B1. B6 and B7 leave the confines of the bench but do not participate in the fight. What is the proper ruling and administration in this situation? Again, this is a really good, you could certainly imagine this occurring in a game, right? We get other situations that are sort of far-fetched. This is really straightforward. So we have the ball is live. Players A1 and B1 commit fouls against each other, right? Double foul, right? Critical to know that. Double foul. A1 then punches B1. B6 and B7 leave the confines of the bench but do not participate in the fight. Okay? A1 has committed a flagrant foul for fighting. B1, in this instance, don't see B1 participating in the fight. Maybe the punch, caused him to turn his head, etc. Hopefully didn't knock him down, whatever, right? So we have a flagrant foul on A1. B6 and B7 leave the confines of the bench but don't participate. They come to the aid of their teammate but don't participate, right? So we have 2 buckets. We have A1 committing a flagrant foul for fighting. That player is disqualified by rule. We have B6 and B7 leaving the bench area when a fight may break out. Those players are disqualified by rule. The coach for that team will receive an indirect technical foul for the 2 players leaving, whether 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, doesn't matter. Maximum 1 indirect technical foul. So how are we going to resume the game? We're going to shoot 2 free throws related to the punch. B1 we have dead ball technical for the fighting, so any player could attempt the free throws. And then we're going to shoot a maximum of 2 related to the players leaving the bench in this situation. So in this situation, right, it's a very common situation, not common, but it's easy to imagine it going this way, right? Players are upset, one player punches the other. Energy from the bench, everybody jumps up, but 2 of the players come to the aid of their teammate, but don't participate, right? So we just need to know the rules and how to properly adjudicate the play. Now, imagine this scenario occurs in your game. This is going to take, right, obviously everybody's going to their benches. There's going to be a lot of discussion between the crew. We're going to be communicating with the table. This is like a huge event in the game. Fortunately, there was no escalation here. One punch was thrown, energy, things happening, etc. Everything's settled. This game is going to move forward, right? It's not like everybody was involved. There's nobody left to play the game or anything like that. And now we need to say, okay, I got a tool bag full of rules right here. How are we going to adjudicate this play, right? And so it's a great example, but everything's going to slow down dramatically in this situation. We're going to have to deal with this. We have to sort it out. We've got bucket number 1, bucket number 2. We're going to do this, then we're going to do that, etc. We may bring coaches together, explain our ruling in this situation. Very easy to imagine that occurring in this situation. But if we look at the play scenario itself, A1 would be disqualified for fighting. B6 and B7 would be disqualified for leaving the bench area when a fight may break out. 1 indirect to the Team B head coach as a result of that. 2 free throws attempted for the flagrant foul for the punch. 2 free throws then attempted by Team A for the players leaving the bench area, and subsequently a throw-in for Team A at the division line opposite the table to resume play. That would be a good, just imagine this happens in your game. That's going to be a challenge. That's going to be a challenge for any crew to properly adjudicate the play properly. So that's why we work here, so that when we go out on the court, we have a little better understanding. Let's look at another play scenario. Hopefully it's a little simpler. Post players A1 and B1 begin punching each other and play is stopped. 2 substitutes from each team leave the bench area and come onto the court. And the 4 substitutes do a number of things. In A, they do not become involved in the fight. In B, all become involved in the fight. In C, A6, A7, and B6 do not participate, but B7 becomes involved in the fight. And in D, the head coach and 3 assistant coaches enter the coach to assist in curtailing the fighting. Okay. So this is a case play, and it does a good job of bringing everything to bear. And so if we examine the 4 possibilities here, it can help us. I'm gonna get small here and get out of the way. If we examine each of the scenarios, it can help us in getting a clearer understanding of the rules. All right, so 2 players on the court during live ball fighting, right? Out of nowhere, these 2 are going at it. 2 substitutes from each team leave the bench area and come onto the court. Okay, let's look at D first. Head coach and 3 assistants enter the court to assist in curtailing the fighting. Easy peasy, right? Head coach and assistant coaches are all allowed to enter the coach to assist in curtailing the fighting, right? Nfhs says, let's get the adults involved here, right? Again, we may have people coming from off of the court. We may have police personnel who are assigned to the game may step onto the court in some fashion, but school administrators may come on, right? The PE teacher who's handling the student section, who's everybody knows is sort of the enforcer of the students, is going to step onto the court and try to assist. If people are there to assist, that's a plus. So we're getting rid of D. Now, in A, do not become involved in the fight. We have 2 players who are fighting. Those players receive flagrant fouls and are disqualified by rule. The players entering the court are all disqualified and receive technical fouls by rule. Each coach will receive an indirect technical foul because they had players leave the bench area when a fight was occurring or may break out, right? Each one receives an indirect technical foul. We evaluate the buckets. How many players fighting? One from each, equal. How many players left benches? Two from each, equal, right? We're going point of interruption in this instance. So it's a great scenario to understand. Post players A1 and B1 begin punching each other and play is stopped. Where was the ball when play is stopped? That's our point of interruption when in this situation where everything's equal, because we're going back to the point of interruption. All become involved in the fight. All right, so that's A. That's really straightforward. All of them become involved in the fight. Okay, whoa, now we got it. Now we got 3 from each participating, right? This is gonna be a dynamic scenario, right? We're gonna imagine this. If it occurs in our game, oh boy, there's gonna be chaos. But now we've got 3 participating. What is the penalty when players leave the bench area when a fight may break out and participate in the fight? For each player, it's the same in that they will receive a disqualifying technical foul. But let's look at the head coach piece. We know that if players leave the bench area, then we treat them as a group when it comes to an indirect on the head coach. If they participate, the coach then gains the responsibility of that individual's action and is assessed an indirect technical foul for each player who leaves the bench and may participate. Okay, so in this instance where both players from each team participated, 2 indirect technical fouls are assessed on the head coach related to the participation of the players. Oh boy. Okay. So, if either coach had received a technical foul prior to that, they would be ejected by rule because of the additional 2 indirect technical fouls. But again, we have equal and opposite. How are we going to resume the game? We're going to resume at the point of interruption. 1, because in our bucket number 1, we've got players participating in the fight who were players. And then we've got bench personnel leaving the bench, etc. Equal and opposite. We're going to go to the point of interruption. No free throws would be attempted in that instance. And now we're at C. C is the tough one. Okay. So substitute A6, A7. So the substitutes who entered from Team A do not participate. The substitutes from Team B, 1 does not participate, 1 does participate. I think I got this. Okay, so related to the substitutes, Team A, 2 came on, didn't participate. Team A, head coach, 1 indirect technical foul. Team B, 2 players came on, 1 did not participate, 1 did participate. Team B coach gets an indirect related to the non-participating player leaving the bench coming on, and a second one for the player participating, or the team member participating. So pretty much the same thing. Would we shoot free throws in situation C? I'm saying no, we wouldn't because they offset. But I do that without confidence. Let's take a look. This is the ruling on this play. In C, the Team A head coach is charged indirectly with 1 technical foul, and the Team B coach is indirectly charged with 2. 1 for the substitutes, leaving the bench, and 1 for B7 becoming involved in the fight. And we're going to point of interruption. All right, I got it right. Yeah, boy, would that be a challenge on the court if you were trying to sort this play out? Yeah, yes, it would. All right, let's take a look at our next play scenario. As A1 and B1 square up and yell at each other, Substitutes A6, A7, and A8 enter the floor and fight with substitutes B6, B7, and B8. What? What is the proper ruling and administration on this play, right? So we got a situation where players on the court are, squared up and going at each other, but doesn't sound like they're fighting. But their teammates, when a fight may break out, come onto the court and start fighting. Wow, crazy. All right, so what do we know? We know that we're going to have double technical fouls related to the players facing up, right? We're going to have a double T in that situation, right? We know that. But we don't have a fighting scenario in that case. Then we've got 3 players leaving the bench when a fight may break out and begin fighting. Wow, this is a beef that was happening before the game or something. I don't know, right? What do we know? When players leave the bench area and participate, all are ejected, obviously. All are disqualified, rather. That's obvious. Each player receives a disqualifying technical foul. In that instance, key component here, though, is that since they participated, for each player who left and participated, an indirect technical foul is assessed to the head coach. That's going to be the key takeaway in this play. That head coach is going to be ejected by rule. Each head coach is going to be ejected by rule in this scenario. So we've got chaos in our game. Hopefully we have assistant coaches, or maybe we'd be better off if we didn't at this point. This is going to be a chaotic scene for sure. But that would be the adjudication on the play. Now, the buckets, right? Players came off, participated, equal number, no free throws will be attempted. The 2 technical fouls, double technical, no free throws would be attempted. We would go to the point of interruption. If it was a dead ball scenario, we would go to the point of interruption, which would be what was going to happen next in the game at that point, either a throw-in or a free throw on that play. All right, that was a tough one. Let's look at our next play scenario. A1 commits a hard foul on B1 right in front of Team A bench. The 2 players then square up and start jawing at each other. Team A assistant coach steps between them. Bench personnel A6 takes 1 step onto the court and grabs A1 in a bear hug and pulls him off the court. What is the proper ruling and administration in this scenario? Right? There's your play, Jason Hayes. There's your play, right? Again, we want to know all of the things that have occurred on this play. A1 commits a hard foul on B1 right in front of the Team A bench, and then boom, right? Things go down. Okay? We're going to have a ruling on that play. The 2 players then square up and start jawing at each other. We're going to have a ruling on that play. Is this a play where a fight may break out? Yes, clearly it is. Team A assistant coach steps between the 2 players. They have entered the court when a fight may break out. This is legal by rule. We've got helpful teammate on the bench who sees his teammate in a potentially dangerous situation, takes a step onto the court, gives him a bear hug, and pulls him off the court. What are we going to do in this play scenario? I know what I'm going to do. Right? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to determine whether we are assessing a technical foul on teammate B6, or A6 rather, for entering the court when a fight may break out. That's our key determinant on this play. Nfhs, right, in a play scenario like this will always say that is a technical foul on that team member for entering the court when a fight may break out. it's not gray area when it comes to NFHS, right? So if that's your adjudication of this play, then that's our guidance on this play, and we're going to go from there. So we have a situation where we have a foul, then we have two players squaring up. Let's say we have double T's in that scenario. Then we have actions and what have you. So how would we, if we're going to assess that technical foul on that team member, we first have to determine how we're going to handle the foul that A1 committed on B1. If it was excessive contact, then it would be 2 free throws. If it was not a bonus situation, then it would be a resulting throw-in, okay? And if it was bonus situation, then it would either be 1 and 1 or 2 free throws. But whatever we're going to do, if it rises to the level of free throws, we're going to do that first. Then we have two players square up. Each receives a double technical, let's say. And then we have the player leaving the bench when a fight may break out, and that's a technical foul on them. So if we had free throws, we'd administer those first. Obviously, the lane's going to be cleared because the game won't, the lane would be cleared. And we would then administer the penalty for A6 entering the court when a fight may break out. Any Team B player or eligible substitute would shoot 2 free throws, and the ball would go to Team B for a division line throw-in, right? Again, NFHS would say that is the proper adjudication of this play. If you decided that that action, we're looking at the spirit and intent of the rule, right? Minor infraction of stepping onto the court with the intent of pulling their teammate away and de-escalating the situation, etc. It's going to bring your judgment to bear on that play. But if you erroneously, by NFHS standards, made that ruling, then what would we have? We have the hard foul, we have the double T's, and then we have nothing. Okay? So we're going to administer the result of the hard foul. If it was excessive contact and we are going to shoot intentional foul free throws, then it would be 2 free throws and the ball to the offended team at the spot nearest the foul. If bonus free throws resulted, we would go to the point of interruption, which was the bonus free throws. And we would fill the lane and play the game from there. And if it was a throw-in, we would simply resume the game with a throw-in. So if we're assessing the technical on the bench personnel, that's going to be what gets done last. And this is a good play to make a judgment about how you're going to handle it. A good play indeed. So let's see if we can rifle through these next few play scenarios. I think I have 3 more. Let's take a look. A1 and B1 begin fighting and play is stopped. Substitute A6 leaves the bench area and enters the court to observe. B6 also enters the court at the same time, but B6 actually participates in the fight. What is the proper ruling and administration in this situation? A1 and B1 begin fighting and play is stopped. They're in that bucket. Each of those players, flagrant foul, disqualified by rule. That's simple. We have an equal number participating. No free throws will be attempted in that instance. A6 leaves the bench area, enters the court, does not participate. B6, or their opponent, also enters the court at the same time, but actually participates in the fight. What is the proper ruling and administration? Well, players leave the bench and don't participate, do participate, indirect on the head coaches. That's a given. My brain is cramping on this play. Team A will shoot 2 free throws. Any player or eligible substitute would shoot 2 free throws and the ball for a division line throw-in opposite the table. Each coach has received an indirect technical foul for the actions of their bench personnel. All players, the 2 who originally participated in the fight, the 2 who came off the bench, all are disqualified after receiving technical fouls as well. But let's quickly move to another play scenario. A1 dunks over B1, then taunts B1. B1 retaliates and punches A1. What is the proper ruling and administration on this situation? Right? This is a key thing we need to understand in National Federation of High School Basketball rules. A1, a dunking action, and then taunts B1. B1 retaliates with a punch. Obviously, B1 will be disqualified for fighting. The key component here, though, is that also A1 in this situation is disqualified for fighting as well. The taunt, which led to the fight, is considered to be fighting, since that was the result, right? Important for us to embrace that and have that understanding of the rule. So in this instance, where A1 dunked over B1, obviously we would score the goal. The taunting and the retaliatory punch is considered fighting by both of the players. Both players receive a disqualifying technical foul for fighting, and the game will resume at the point of interruption, which would be a Team B end line throw-in with the ability to move after the made basket by A1. So a straightforward scenario. Understanding, though, that the taunt which led to the punch is considered to be fighting by rule. Critical component in that play. Let's look at our very final play scenario. It appears a fight may occur on the playing court when A, A6 and A7, or B, A6 and B6 leave their respective benches. What's the proper ruling and administration in each situation? Easy peasy, right? A6 and A7, in the first scenario, a fight may break out. Two players from Team A, or two substitutes from the Team A bench enter the court when a fight may break out. That is disqualifying technical fouls on each of those players, each of those team members, one indirect technical foul to the opposing coach. Maximum of 2 free throws related to that. So nobody came off of the Team B bench. We would shoot 2 free throws related to players leaving the bench when a fight may occur, right? So in A, we're going to resume the game with 2 free throws for Team B and a division line throw-in for Team B opposite the table. Now, let's look at situation B. Team A, or A6 and B6 leave their respective benches and do not participate. When it's an equal number, there will be no free throws attempted, but the actions are penalized. Each player, each team member receives a technical foul for leaving the bench when a fight may occur. Each head coach receives an indirect technical, regardless of the number of players who entered the court in that situation, and we would resume at the point of interruption. It sounds like it appears a fight may occur on the playing court. Who knows? We don't know that scenario. Appreciate everybody joining the show today. Much appreciated. If you find content like this valuable, great time to do all the things, the like, the subscribe, the notify, so you don't miss out on any of our new content. If you're watching on the replay, join us for the live show. Every Wednesday and Friday, we go live. Put your voice in the game, jump in, and get in the conversation. Allow me to thank our fantastic channel supporters: Dan Kelly, Tyler Matlock, Thomas Hennian, Mike Wong, and Phil Harmonic. Much appreciated and much love. You want to support the show, you can always head to abetterofficial.com/coffee. There's a link above and in the show notes below. Fantastic. Additional video content for you here. The Masterclass on fighting is here. The 5-Play Friday is here. See you in the next one. Take care.